I'm speaking to the masculine guy in you that every man has, that I want you to listen to this and I want you to really reflect on it and think about what I'm saying. I really wanted to make this video because I wanted to help teach young men about controlling their sexual energy and how valuable it is when you are able to sort of hold it in and keep it for yourself and then put it into areas of your life that need work, your creativity, hard work in general, things you want to build, things you want to create, disciplining yourself. These all take sexual energy, and the truth is that nowadays all young men are just expending their sexual energy like it's nothing, whereas it's their most valuable currency they have. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how. Sexual energy is the most valuable currency a man has. Why? Because this is the energy that he uses to do every single thing he wants in his life. It's the reason why men want to get rich. It's the reason why men want to feel powerful. It's the reason why men want to feel, like they're worth something. Because this opens up, at the end of the day, it opens up sexual options and it puts us in sort of a state of hierarchy. It elevates us on the social ladder. Now, if you expend your sexual energy every single day without thinking about it, you're going to constantly find yourself in a very sort of low frequency state. And this is the worst state to be in because you're sort of denying yourself this higher state, this higher way of thinking, this state where you have more energy and when you have more sort of a higher frequency that you can operate from. And if you keep spending your sexual energy with useless things, with bad conversations, with masturbation, with having sex with just random strangers, then you're not reserving or you're not retaining any of that energy and then being able to put it into something that you actually want to do, something creative, something worth building, a business, a relationship, meeting, networking with other good friends. All of these take energy, sexual energy. So this video is basically going to explain to you how to reserve it and what it really means to have sort of like a strong masculine energy. So masculine energy could be explained in the following: order, creation, structure, focus, justice, and love. Okay? These 6 things are super important. Let's start with order. So a man is designed, his life has to be orderly. At least a very masculine man has to have an orderly life. He can't just be all over the place. He can't be a mess. He can't have everything sort of just unstructured and everything just happening the way it's happening. He can have it, but this is not him being in his truest masculine form. He has to organize himself. He has to organize his thoughts. He has to organize his words. He has to organize the way he is. He has to compartmentalize the things he's doing so that he can be efficient and he can create structure for other people around him. He can create structure for himself. He can create structure for the loved ones he has around him. This is what it really means to be a man. A man also has to create. Okay, a man has to be in a state where he can constantly be creating things for himself. Now, if you have a 9-to-5 job and you are working for someone else, you are still creating things, but what's fulfilling for a man is when he creates things for himself. When he creates a YouTube channel, for example, he can create content, he can build a sofa, I don't know, he can build a piece of furniture, he can build a community of people with a social group. He can build a business, he can build anything. A man needs to constantly be creating for himself. At least that's where he finds himself in his sort of truest masculine form. Then focus. A man needs to be able to focus his mind on the things that he has to do at hand. If a man is sort of out of focus, then he's distracted. Okay? And distractions can come in many, many different forms. You can be distracted by women. You can be distracted by social media content. You can be distracted by if you say you're going to do something and then you just don't do it or you just procrastinate, that's getting distracted. You can get distracted by hanging around the wrong people. And in doing so, a man has to get rid of all these distractions so that he can focus his mind on getting back to structuring himself, being orderly, and then creating the things that he wants to create for himself. Then justice. Men are naturally inclined to follow justice. Okay, this is something like perhaps a lot of men might disagree, but at least all the very masculine men that I know, they follow sort of this organization where they know they have to enforce justice That doesn't necessarily mean like their own form of justice, but when they see injustices being done, there is an inclination for men to want to or have to do something about it. And those that don't do anything about it, or those that don't feel this urge to fix the injustices that they see in the world, they are not really in their truest masculine form, or at least they've put aside this part of themselves. Because when you basically see injustices being done and you don't do anything about it, it kind of makes you a bit sick. It makes you feel a bit like, if let's say you see a woman, getting hit by another man and you don't do something about it, you can go home the next day and be like, yeah, maybe it's better for me because I could have gotten hurt by that man, but you'll feel sick with yourself because you didn't do anything about it. Even though you could have risked getting hurt, you still didn't do anything about it, and that's going to sit with you for the rest of your life. And so justice is something very important. And then I guess with all of these things as well, there's expansion. A man has to constantly be looking to expand himself and get into a state where he needs to keep growing all the time. He needs to constantly keep learning things and doing new things and expanding himself. When he finds a woman, he has to find a woman who he can expand himself with. A lot of the time men look to find partners that they can just sort of make themselves feel good. Like, wow, I got the trophy wife. She makes me feel great. And so I'm not really sort of dating her or being with her to expand myself. I'm dating with her to satiate myself, if that makes sense. So for a lot of guys out there, like when you find a woman, it's really important that the first woman you find is an amazing woman, because she should be someone that activates the expansion sort of gene in you that expands you and expands you and expands you. And you can also expand her, if that makes sense. Once you have this expansion, this is where you find a true, conscious love with a woman. And this is the next thing that men crave. Men crave to give love. Okay, this is I think this is all built into a lot of men. We crave to give love, unconditional love. We look for partners just to be able to want to give them everything. We look for amazing people that we could just give to. If it was up to, I guess, most very masculine men, if they had all the money in the world, all the energy in the world, all the everything in the world, it would just be natural to give it away for no reason, just because this is something that men really want to be able to give, just this unconditional, free love to the rest of the world. And what hinders that is when you sort of feel like you're getting taken for granted, or when you don't have enough energy to be able to give that love, which is where we all come back to all this orderliness, creation, structure, focus, justice, expansion, and love. All of these require sexual energy. And if you are depleted of your sexual energy, then you need to figure out a way to get it back. You need to absorb it, get it back, and build it up. It's something that you have to sort of build up. It's not something that is going to just happen overnight, like, oh, finally I'm full of sexual energy. It's like, feel it and let it sort of sit within you and let it calm itself down into this very strong, powerful energy. And this itself is expansive. It's very, very powerful. In every man, there exists a small voice that's inclined to do all these things. We want to create, we want to love, we want to enforce justice, we want to expand ourselves. Men crave this. At least I've craved this my entire life. And speaking to other men, you can see that that's also something they really, really crave. The more we listen to this voice and the more we follow this voice, the more aligned we will become with our purpose. But the less we listen to this voice and the more we just ignore this voice or this inclination to want to do all the things that I mentioned earlier, the more we're going to drift away from our purpose. Okay. And this is also something that's really, really important for young men to understand, is you need to find your purpose. What is it that you have to do as a man in this life? And what is it that you have to do? And what does it take to do the things that you want to do in this life? You need to ask yourself that, and you need to be able to gather yourself without distracting yourself, okay? Let go of all the distractions and just sit with yourself for a long enough time and just think about the answer to that question. What is your purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing? And where am I going? A man's purpose is to create order in chaos. It's his purpose to structure inefficiencies he sees in society and in himself and in others. Man's purpose is to focus in the face of all the distractions that are coming at him throughout his entire life. Man's purpose is to uphold justice when there is no justice being done. Man's purpose is to expand himself and to break any resistance he has to that expansion process. Doesn't matter what it is, a man has to constantly keep expanding. And lastly, a man's purpose is to love unconditionally, even when there is no love for him. Because this is one of the most important things it takes to be a man. Yes, you can be used and you can feel like you're being taken advantage of, but it doesn't matter. You love the world even when it doesn't love you. You have to. If not, you will just slip into nihilism and you will become destructive and you will become the total opposite of all the best qualities of what it is to be a man. You will slip into chaos. You will lack structure. You will, instead of being expansive, your entire life will be contraction, contraction, contraction. You'll let resistance win and you will basically turn into like a golem-like creature where you're just so out of focus. You just do whatever you want and you have no structure, no anything, no order. And when things are difficult, you become that weak man. You know, there's that saying, tough times create strong men create easy times create weak men, and weak men create hard times, and then the cycle happens all over again. Well, when you become the opposite of what it really is to be masculine, that is when you become a weak man. That is when you lack expansion, you lack structure, you lack justice, you lack fighting for the things you want, you lack expansion. You will turn into that weak-minded man that we see so many of nowadays. And it's the reason why society is sort of in the state it's in, is because men need to live with these values that are so central to what it means to be a man. They need to find and discover those. Now, how is it that you actually retain your sexual energy? How is it that you keep it sort of together? Well, one thing you have to understand is men release their sexual energy by sort of ejaculation and with their emotions. So let's say if you masturbate every single day and you're just releasing all your life energy, basically. When it comes to being in difficult situations, when you really have to do difficult things and you really don't want to do them, you need a certain amount of sexual energy in order to just overcome that resistance, to just push over and actually do the thing. Now, even if you have enough to do that, if you have any friends, if you have any female friends, if you lack sexual energy, or if you're depleted in your energy, when it comes to listening to them or structuring for them or sort of organizing chaos when they are being chaotic, and this isn't just for women, this is also for men in sort of a lower frequency. When it comes to structuring things for them, you have to have enough energy to be able to absorb this energy of them. If not, what's gonna happen is you're gonna take this energy, you're gonna think, oh no, this is like too much. Like, I don't wanna have to deal with this. This is not my problem. And this is where it's not natural for men to want to do that. Yes, you can do it and it feels great because you're like, oh, it's not my problem, it's not this, but it is your problem. Make it your problem. Take responsibility and act on it. That doesn't mean get taken advantage of or you have to fix every single situation, but don't throw away moments like that where you can use them to expand yourself, because taking responsibility, this is the way you define yourself in terms of expansion. The more responsibility, the more I'm expanding. So when you're a young man, you have to keep and reserve your sexual energy so that you can hear and listen to the world and sort of absorb the things in the world. And so you don't go out into this like chaotic state where you don't know what's happening, you don't know what, you're organized and you're focused, you're calm and you're collected, and you know what the next move is because you've organized yourself, you've structured and you've planned out the next move. Okay, in doing so, you need to have sexual energy. A lot of people listening to this right now are probably gonna say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But again, I'm speaking to the masculine guy in you that every man has, that I want you to listen to this and I want you to really reflect on it and think about what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're a shit person because you're not doing the things that you should be doing. I'm saying, look at it. If you really want to step into this masculine frame, do those things and see how they change your life, and take it with a pinch of salt. If it doesn't work immediately, that doesn't mean it's not working. It's a practice and you have to do it again and again and again. Reserving your sexual energy, avoid avoid a bad friend group who are going to bring you down. You need to be around people who raise you up. You need to be around brothers that you trust. You need to be around sisters that you trust. People and family around you that are going to raise you up instead of bring you down. Then you need to be able to control your sexual energy by controlling your ejaculation. Try and avoid ejaculation for no reason. Okay, that doesn't mean like if you have a wife, like do whatever you want. If you have a girlfriend, do whatever you want. It's just you don't have to be ejaculating all the time. You don't even really have to be ejaculating to have an orgasm. If you read the book by Mantak Chia, The Multi-Orgasmic Man, he explains how you can have multiple orgasms without ejaculation so that you can keep going non-stop. It's a very good book to read. I'd highly recommend it. I'll post it on my YouTube channel. Reserve your sexual energy, keep it so that you can use it for other things. Once you have a lot of it, it goes into so many different areas of your life that are going to help you so significantly, and it's also going to help you so much with women. I was explained by my friend that if I did 100 days of sort of abstinence from ejaculation, that there would be more women sort of surrounding themselves around me. And I was so fascinated by this, which inclined me to end up doing the 100 days of abstinence. But I was always like a bit skeptical, like, what does that even mean? Sort of like women are going to be around me a lot more. Yeah, right. But then I did it. And I was always someone who was like very just free with my sexual energy. If I wanted to like masturbate, I would just do it. I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think about reserving. Obviously, I knew that every time I did masturbate, I felt much more relaxed and much more sort of tired, less ambitious. But now, as I've gotten older, I realized that when I just reserved it for a little while and I let myself get irritated and let that irritation settle into this calm, masculine energy, I had so much more energy to listen to women, to talk to them without expecting anything sexually of them, to really, I think listening was the most important, just listening and hearing what they were saying to me and making them feel safe without putting out this energy of like, yeah, like, what are we doing later? Do you want to come back to mine? Do you want to have sex? Do you want to do, it's like, just remove that from any conversation you're in and talk to them like how you'd want to talk to, you know, like any woman that you care about, with respect and with honor and with dignity, so that they can feel safe and they can feel calm and they can relax themselves. And then they're going to want to put themselves around you a lot more because you've removed that entire, like, doesn't mean there's no intimacy there, but you've removed that sort of sexual connection. Like, I'm only being nice to you because I want to have sex with you later. You remove that and you can still be very, very intimate. In fact, I would argue that doing 100 days of abstinence is the way to build proper intimacy with a woman. And you never know until you try it. I made a video about it recently. Check it out, try it. I would highly recommend it for you to step into your real good, strong masculine energy and see what happens when you reserve your sexual energy. When you focus your life on living in your highest masculine energy, you are going to allow this sort of higher consciousness to flow through you energetically. And you're going to realize like living your life just sort of turns into like a flow. When you talk to people, you have more energy and you have more energy to give them. You have a brighter smile, you have a better kick in your step. You just have more energy and you're operating from a much higher frequency. And all you have to do is reserve your sexual energy for yourself. And you can do this via meditation, abstinence, avoid people bringing you down, put yourself around the right conversations, around the right people in an environment of love, and allow that energy to sort of charge you up and build it up. It's energetical. Let it build you up, to the point where by the end of the 100 days, you're going to feel like Superman. I mean, this is exactly how I felt when I did it. You feel like Superman. When you talk to women, it's like amazing. It's like women are also so much more interesting because you've removed that sexual part of it, which is actually a very small part. And sex is almost never really about, it's never really about pleasure. It's actually about domination. It's about power. So when you want to have sex with someone, you have to think like, why am I trying to have sex with someone? Yeah, I can get pleasure from myself. I can pleasure myself easily. But what am I looking to do? How am I looking to raise myself up when it comes to sleeping with more women? And so this is something that everyone has to sort of practice doing. 3 things that I like to practice doing is like stop scrolling on Instagram. So no porn, no nothing, no masturbation, just keep your energy for yourself. Exercise a lot to practice physicality and to practice sort of the extension of your nervous system so that you can exert and sort of Put yourself in a state of pain. When you feel pain, this is pure focus. I made a video about recently where I explained that pain is just pure focus. If you want to train focus on your mind, put yourself through more pain. Physical pain is very easy to do in a gym. Lift weights until you can't lift them anymore and then try and push over that pain. That is pure focus. All you think about in that moment is the pain of whatever it is that you're doing. So try that and get it done. Get into a state where you act on the things that you plan. Whatever it is that you want to do in your life, write them down and then act on them. Okay, the worst thing you can do is have all these amazing ideas, all these cool, expansive things that you want to do with your life, and then you don't do anything about it. This actually makes you sort of sick. It makes a man feel like, oh, I can't do anything. I just can't do it. It's just too much for me. But I have all these crazy ideas. I would have been a millionaire by now if I just done them. It's like, no, do them. Act on them and do them. This is super important just to hold yourself accountable so that you can create that structure in your life and that self-dialogue of feeling powerful, feeling good about yourself, having a high self-image, all these things. It's very important to plan and do all the time. Create things, create content, talk about yourself. Just do stuff that's difficult, do stuff that gets you out of your comfort zone, do stuff that makes you feel like uncomfortable. That is where you have the most resistance, and that is where you will expand yourself the most. Think about resistance like a cage that you're living. It's like a bubble. And every time you beat resistance, you expand the bubble. You expand the barriers, the boundaries on which are contracting your life inwardly. And you're expanding more and more and more. And you do this by learning. You do this by training. You do this by practice. You do this by finding resistance and overcoming it all the time. The last thing when it comes to reserving your sexual energy for every single thing you want to do in your life as a man, it's not going to be easy when you first start. In fact, you might find this video very cringe. You might find it very, like, it makes no sense. Try it. I guarantee you these things that I'm telling you are super valuable. I know this because I did them myself, and this completely changed my life because now I see exactly the purpose of sexual energy. I see how powerful it is, and I see why men need to reserve it for the right things. That doesn't also mean don't have sex forever, never again. No, you should be having a lot of sex. Do it a lot with the right people, with the right women. That's it. Don't just do it like have one night stands here and there and just giving or trying to take from all these women that you're meeting. This is like psychopathic behavior. Find the right person. But in doing so, you have to be also the right person in the highest state you can possibly be in. So I hope this helped you guys. It's not going to be easy when you first start, but please try it. I guarantee you're going to see amazing results from this. And if you did, please leave some comments in the comment section below. That's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please like and subscribe.